I'm Katherine Johnson from Learn Behavioral with this week's topic for parents. Today we're going to talk about the importance of isolating reinforcers. Isolating a reinforcer is when your behavior analyst requests that some of the items you use as reinforcers not be allowed outside of the session, or are only allowed if they're earned. So for instance, there might be some toys that your child is only allowed to earn when they're in their ABA session, so they're isolated to that particular time of day. Or you might have a reinforcer that's tied to just one behavior. So for instance, the only time your kiddo is allowed to watch a show is when they're sitting on the potty. So then shows are isolated for the potty. I'm going to talk to you about why isolating reinforcers can be helpful, but before we go any further, let's do a quick refresher on exactly what a reinforcer is. So a reinforcer is something that, when it comes after a behavior, will increase the likelihood that the behavior will happen again in the future. So sometimes reinforcement just happens in life, but in ABA, when we want to teach something, we often manipulate the circumstances in order to have the reinforcer happen after a behavior we want to increase. So for instance, when my children taste all their vegetables that are on their plate, that night they get dessert. When you call your child's name and she makes eye contact, you hug her and tickle her. When a child shares something with a friend, a teacher praises him. Reinforcers are an incredible tool, which we use to change or teach behavior. But here's the catch. If you don't control the reinforcer, you've lost your leverage. So for instance, if you've been watching my videos, you probably know by now that my 10-year-old's most potent reinforcer is video games. If I were to tell him, do a load of laundry and then you can play Xbox, he would 100% be willing and motivated to do his laundry. If, however, I hand over the Xbox controller to him first and then ask him to do his laundry, he would be a little less motivated to do it. He's got what he wants, chores are going to get in the way. The reinforcer is not useful to motivate his behavior because I'm not in control of it anymore. So an interesting thing about reinforcers, to some degree, we can affect how potent they are. So for instance, when there's something that a person really loves that functions as a reinforcer, if you give them a lot of access to it, it can actually decrease the reinforcer potency, so it's less motivating. This is called satiation. So I used to love black olives as a kid. I would sneak into the pantry and steal jars of black olives and hide in my room and put a black olive on every single finger and then eat them off one at a time. And I thought it was the coolest thing. But all I had to do was eat 2 big cans of black olives in one sitting and voila, no longer a reinforcer for me. I was all done with black olives for a while. So when your kiddo has reached the point of satiation with something, it's no longer a reinforcer and you're going to have to find something else to help you with your teaching. The reverse is also true. When you don't have access to the reinforcer very frequently, it becomes more potent. This is called deprivation. So that old cliche about absence making the heart grow fonder, when you're deprived of a person for a while, you appreciate them more, right? This is true of all reinforcers, not just people. Obviously, if you're relying on your ability to reinforce behavior in order to teach, you need to have a potent reinforcer. So one of the ways to keep reinforcers potent then is to limit access and not allow satiation to occur. This is why your behavior analyst might ask you to isolate your reinforcers. Before we end, I want to note that reinforcers are what give us our spark in life. And controlling another person's access to their reinforcers is a big responsibility that you want to approach with care and compassion. And keep in mind that the right reason for doing this is to teach things that are going to directly benefit your child and their life. There are some things that you should never try to create deprivation around. Basic life necessities, so meals, water, bathroom breaks, your own love and affection. These are just not things that you want to isolate. It's also not okay to isolate reinforcers so drastically that a child has no preferred items to play with unless they're in session. Whenever possible, you want to be working towards exposing your child to more and more toys and activities and increasing the number of reinforcers that they have in their lives. This is beneficial for your kiddo to have many things that they love and enjoy, and it's also beneficial for their teaching because then you can isolate some reinforcers for teaching and have others available during free times. I would love to hear about your own experiences with isolating reinforcers and how you've managed it. So if you have a story to tell, please go ahead and leave a message in the comments. Well, as we go into this weekend, I sincerely hope that you and your family are healthy and staying safe. And I will see you next week.